Why do we fall in love with someone's potential instead of their reality? Why does the smallest sign of warmth, a soft message at midnight, a rare moment of vulnerability, a flicker of tenderness in their voice, feel powerful enough to outweigh everything they don't give us? There is a quiet truth beneath this pattern. We do not fall for people as they are. We fall for the version of them our longing knows how to construct. Potential is attractive because it offers a sense of direction, a promise of who they might become once their chaos settles, once they heal, once they finally feel safe enough to choose us completely. Psychology calls this projection. The mind takes an unfinished person and fills in the empty spaces with our hope, our imagination, our childhood understanding of what love could look like if only it finally worked out. So we gather scraps, a compliment here, a moment of presence there, a fleeting softness they barely notice, and we turn it into a blueprint for a future that doesn't exist yet. We hold on because potential feels like destiny, because it gives us a role, the one who understands them, the one who stays, the one who helps them grow into the person we always believed they could be. But potential is a fragile foundation. It is a house built from promises, balanced on moments that appear just often enough to keep hope alive. And still, we stay, not for their presence, but for the emotional echo of who they might become one day, in a softer chapter, in a future we keep writing for them because they never learned how to write it themselves. Potential is a kind of light the mind invents, a glow that doesn't come from the person themselves, but from the way we illuminate them. It is the candle we place in the dark room of uncertainty, small, flickering, barely enough to see by, yet somehow bright enough to shape an entire future around. We don't fall for what is real. We fall for what is almost, for the unfinished edges, for the promises hidden inside their wounds, for the future version of them that feels so close we swear we can already touch it. Psychologically, this is called a fantasy bond, a connection built not on shared experience, but on imagined potential. We stitch together a love story from small signs, rare moments, and the belief that our presence might be the missing ingredient in their growth. Many of us learned early in life that affection comes in fragments, that warmth appears and disappears, that love must be earned through patience, through interpreting subtle signals, through holding on to hope even when reality feels thin. So when we meet someone inconsistent, someone half-formed, someone who reveals just enough softness to keep our imagination alive, our nervous system whispers, "This feels familiar. This feels like home." We mistake tension for chemistry, uncertainty for depth, the emotional high of inconsistency for proof of meaning. And because potential lives in the future, it allows us to ignore the present, to overlook the distance, the mixed messages, the moments where they fail to show up. The story we build becomes a shield, protecting them from accountability. But this devotion to potential has a cost. We begin to shrink ourselves. We soften our needs, silence our doubts, and convince ourselves that patience is a virtue, even when it starts to carve away pieces of our self-worth. The truth is painful, but simple. When you love someone's potential, You are loving a future self they may never become, and every day spent waiting for that version is a day spent drifting further from your own. There comes a moment, quiet and unceremonious, when the illusion begins to loosen. Not because the other person changed, but because you finally ran out of space to carry the weight of who they might become. It happens slowly. A soft exhaustion settles into the places where hope used to burn. The fantasy that once kept you alive begins to feel strangely hollow, too light to hold, too heavy to ignore. You start to see them with different eyes, not critical ones, clear ones. Eyes no longer clouded by imagination, no longer painting meaning onto every small gesture. And in that clarity, a deeper truth emerges. Loving potential is not love, it is longing wearing a disguise. We cling to potential because we fear the stillness that follows truth. If we let go of the story, we are left with ourselves, our unmet needs, our unfinished wounds, our own reflection. But clarity is not cruelty. It is a form of self-return, a quiet act of reclaiming the energy we've poured into futures that were never ours to build. Seeing someone as they are is an intimate kind of courage. It requires accepting their limits, their timing, their capacity for closeness, exactly as it exists today, not someday, not eventually, not in the imaginary chapter we wrote for them. And sometimes the most loving act is not holding on, but stepping back, allowing their unrealized potential to remain theirs, not your responsibility to manifest. Because life becomes gentler the moment we stop negotiating with hope, and love becomes real the moment we choose presence over possibility. When you stop loving their future, you finally make space for someone who can meet you in the present. This was the Silent Archetype. Stay curious and stay silent.